we'd like to welcome Scottie Scheffler into the interview room here at the Genesis Scottish Open. #1 in the world golf rankings, 4 wins this year, 3 runner-up finishes. Scottie, if you can just talk a little bit about what an amazing season it's been up to this point.
Yeah, I mean, the season's been a lot of fun. Had a couple close calls the last 2-ish months, but wasn't able to get the job done like I was earlier in the year. But overall, I'm very pleased with how I'm playing, and just hoping to keep things going towards the end of the season.
Yeah, and what an important stretch this is. You finished T12 here last year. Just comment a little bit about what you remember here, and then also your preparations for next week.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun at this tournament last year. The golf course is really good. It's in good shape again this year. I really like this style of golf, and it was a really good prep week for me last year going into St. George's, and I'm sure it will be fairly similar grass to St. Andrews. I haven't been to St. Andrews before, but it was definitely nice coming over, getting adjusted to the time and everything, and a little different style of golf.
Okay, all right, we'll go ahead right into questions. We'll start over here on the left.
Hi, Scottie. Good to see you back here once again. A few questions. Can you tell me how your life has changed in the last 12 months?
Well, at tournaments it's a lot different for me, but at home things are pretty much the exact same. So nothing's really changed on the home front. Just when you come out here, there's a lot more stuff going on, and a lot more people wanting an autograph or a picture or whatever it is, which is a lot of fun. It's definitely a little bit more taxing, but those are very good problems to have, and it's been a very fun stretch, and I'm definitely enjoying playing in front of the cameras and more people and stuff like that. So it's it's been really fun for me as a professional.
And looking ahead to St. Andrews, you've not played a great deal there, have you?
No, I never played there.
You've never played St. Andrews?
No, so this is my second time to the UK, and I played Ballybunion and Lahinch last week, and then Adair Manor. And last year I only played here in St. George's, so only those courses.
What are you most looking forward to at St. Andrews next week?
Well, first of all, just really seeing the golf course. Then after that, competing in the Open. Just to play in the Open is really special, and to have an Open at St. Andrews, the home of golf, will be really special. And I'm looking forward to the challenge. Today we had these crazy winds, and I only played 9 holes, but it was actually really fun to play, and you're just doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And it'll take a little bit of time to get used to winds like that. It may have been the only wind I've played in that was harder than the Players this year. But outside of that, when you're playing this style of golf and that much wind, it's actually really fun. So, looking forward to the challenge.
All right, John.
Sorry, going forward, what is going to make you a better player, do you think, winning the Masters or losing the US Open?
That's a really good question. I think in both scenarios I really learned a lot. The US Open, going into that week, I didn't play great in Canada. I kind of just got it around. I knew how I was playing in Canada I wasn't going to be able to compete at the US Open, so I found something in my swing kind of basically Thursday morning, and I ended up hitting it great. I just didn't have it on the greens, but I've played good enough this year to win 2 majors, which is really cool. And just learning stuff at both those events, I'm just gradually trying to get better. I'm not going to make any drastic changes to what I do. It's just kind of learning from those experiences, and I learned it a lot at the Masters, and I learned a lot at the US Open as well.
All right, let's go, Robert. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you keep going. Well, celebration on 18 green was a lot more fun at the Masters than the US Open, obviously. There's a lot of pain with losing, and there's a lot of joy with winning, but it's all, it's fleeting. It doesn't last long. I'm sad that I didn't win the US Open. I played great. I'm proud of how I fought throughout the week. But, at the end of the day, the celebration's just a little bit different. But when you wake up the next morning, everything's still the same. And, even after the US Open, I had a couple buddies in town, and, we went out to dinner with Sam, my buddies from home, and our wives, and just had a good old time anyways. So life off the golf course doesn't really change much for me, whether I win or lose.
All right, let's get Robert and Martin here.
Given that you haven't played St. Andrews, is there any of your peers that you'll seek out for advice about the course, or anybody you'll lean on for some guidance?
Yeah, fortunately, St. Andrews is a golf course I think that so many people have played. So there's lots of guys that have knowledge of it, my coach being one of them, and then my caddy being another. And so I'll lean on guys if they'll give me some information. Some guys may not want to give up too much knowledge about the golf course, but, I'll definitely pick a few minds if I can.
All right, let's go Martin and then Doug.
Scott, you talked earlier about the crazy winds out there today. I take it, I think the wind is to drop for the rest of the week. Does that please you? You wouldn't want this wind for 4 days. And what is it you really look for from this week going into a major, the Open?
Well, I'm still trying to have a great week this week. I definitely want to feel like I'm playing good going into the Open. So, I'm really focused on this week for now. Fortunately, it's a similar style of golf, and so that's really good going into next week. But I don't know. The weather today was fun. I don't know if it would be as fun if it was a tournament. I don't know if we could have played this golf course if it was a tournament tomorrow. But, yeah, I'm sure the weather forecast is something, but, those guys aren't always right. So we'll see what it's like when we show up tomorrow.
All right, Doug.
A couple things, Scottie, that John had said, actually. For a guy who lives minute by minute, have you found the joy of winning lasting longer than the sting of losing?
Well,
which lasts longer?
I would say the joy of winning.
5 minutes or?
No, the Masters lasted through that night, and then we got home, and then I woke up in the morning, and I still felt like the same person. I was obviously extremely happy, and we celebrated on Sunday night, and then we went out to get breakfast in that morning at home, and we went to our usual spots like 2 minutes from our house, and there was just people everywhere, and Meredith and I were kind of like, oh my gosh, like this is pretty wild. And then we did it again Tuesday morning, and nobody even noticed us, so life was back to normal after that. I would say the sting of losing definitely lasts shorter than the joy of winning. Fortunately, I had a bit of time off after the Masters. I played Zurich, but for the most part, I had almost a month off of individual tournaments, and I got to enjoy it. People congratulating you all the time is fun. It's a great feeling to have accomplished something that you've dreamed of your whole life, and so the sting of losing I definitely don't hang on to as long as the joy of winning.
Secondly, and I apologize if I missed this, what was your first ever experience with links golf? Did you ever come over as a kid or anything? Or?
Scottish Open last year was first one. This was the first links course I played, and then St. George's was the second. Fortunately, this year I came over. I did the McManus Pro-Am on Monday and Tuesday, and was fortunate enough I played Lahinch on Saturday and Ballybunion Sunday, and it was, so much fun. And so this style of golf is pretty cool to be able to play.
All right, let's go Jeff right here in the middle.
What did you like about Lahinch?
The beginning was really fun. We had like 100 people following our group, which, definitely was not expecting coming off of a red-eye flight and then no stretching, no warming up, and right out into the first tee, and everybody's sitting there watching you. And we warned them as we started the round, you're not going to be seeing what, the number one player in the world looks like and what Jordan is a 3-time major winner and Sam is a 4-time PGA Tour winner really look like when we're playing great. But, we had a good time just hitting all kinds of shots, cutting up with the people that were following us. There was a bunch of kids out there that we had a great time with, and the views were awesome, and the weather was actually really good, and just kind of cut up and had some fun.
There's always been a belief that Texas golfers are better in the wind. Do you buy into that? And when you come over here, are you changing the way you flight the ball versus what you do kind of normally, or are you just kind of trusting your normal flight and strategies?
Yeah, so to be completely honest, when I first came over here, I heard everyone's like, oh, I got to play the ball along the ground. You chip with your 9-iron more than your lob wedge, all these crazy stuff. And I was like, oh, they're just making it up. I'll be able to go there and just play normally how I normally do it at home. But when you get out here, it came really naturally to me that, like, when I get around the greens and I don't see my normal pitches at home, it's much simpler to play those lower kind of bouncy your shots into the green, and it's something that I just immediately saw. When you're at home in Dallas, you're really dictated by what the grain does, and out here there's really no grain, and you can kind of bounce it and use the mounds and hills and whatever you want, and you're not limited by stuff that I'm limited by at home. And then when it comes to playing shots along the ground, like I saw it today, when I can, I'm going to hit the ball when it's blowing that hard. Like, I'm going to get the ball on the ground basically as quickly as possible. And it's not always that easy off the tee because you still have to carry it to the fairway. But going into the greens, you can run and hit these low chippy shots and do kind of whatever you want. And it's a little bit of a different style. You kind of just see your shot and just try and hit it. There's no real technical thoughts. You're just kind of going all field, just hitting a low burn-in cut in here. I'm hitting a draw against that mound. And it's just all based on by what I see.
Okay, let's go back left.
Excuse me if this is similar, but you keep using the word fun to describe this style of golf here. Is that compared to Americanized style of golf, and what makes it fun?
I think here I'm just hitting so many different types of shots. In America and like Parkland golf courses here, you kind of play more by numbers. I do, and when it gets this windy, like Teddy's just handing me the club and he's like, "All right, here, I think it's a 4. Good luck, man." Like, you don't know, like, what's he gonna do? Hey, hit this 150-yard shot into a 40-mile-an-hour wind downhill, play at 190. But like, if my flight changes by 4 feet, it's gonna be a 30-yard difference. It's like you got to take ownership of what you're doing, and like I said, not being kind of trapped in by the grain. I think in the States, even when you play bent grass, you're kind of more locked into what you have to do. Here, you're not really dictated by anything. You kind of can just, outside of the wind, you can kind of just do whatever you want, which is really fun.
Okay, right here on the front.
Hi, Scotty. Although you're sort of relatively inexperienced with links golf, you just got your first taste last year. A lot of people will be looking at you not only this week but next week as well as the man to beat, given the form that you've shown. Is that a position and a mindset that you feel comfortable with?
I mean, that's, perception from you guys. When I go into a tournament, I'm just trying to show up and do my best. And, I kind of touched on it a bit earlier, but Link's style of golf kind of came naturally to me. When I came over last year, it's just the shots that I saw or the shots that I was told I was going to need to learn how to play. And that's just kind of what I naturally saw when I showed up. And so going into next week and this week, I'm just looking forward to going out and just experiencing the challenge and playing a different style of golf and seeing what the wind is like and just going out there and just trying to do my best.
Okay, another back left over here.
Scotty, what's the balance for you between wanting to acclimatise, try out different shots this week, and your winning mentality and wanting to, stand
Sorry,
down?
the wind. Can you start over?
What's the balance for you between acclimatising, as you say, trying out different shots and getting yourself ready for the Open, but also your winning mentality and wanting to lift a trophy on Sunday?
Yeah, so fortunately, I think a lot of the shots I'm going to hit at this golf course are similar to the shots that I'm going to need next week. And so just getting out here and getting used to the grass, getting used to the speed of the green, stuff like that. I'm going to show up tomorrow only thinking about this week. And it's fortunate that both golf courses, I assume, are going to be fairly similar with the style of grasses and firmness. And so it'll be very easy for me to focus on this week when I get out on the golf course tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, Alex?
Yeah, Scotty, considering the beginning of the season and now, and you were just talking about when you go to tournaments, you're just trying to do your best, how much of your expectations changed as you get into events now versus the beginning of the year?
Not really. I don't place many external expectations on myself, I think most of that is just public perception of what, I should be doing. And for me, I kind of know what I need to do when I go into tournaments. And I've learned from winning golf tournaments that I don't always have to play perfect. I usually kind of look back to my experience in Phoenix with my first win where I made like 4 bogeys, I think, in the first 12 holes on a golf course where, you have to shoot under par to win. And if you told me a year ago that I could win coming from behind in the final round in Phoenix making 4 bogeys, I wouldn't have believed you. But, I just hit the right shots at the right time. I was able to win the tournament. And so for me, I just try and keep the focus level as high as possible going into Thursday and Friday. And I felt like that's where I made a lot of my mistakes early in my career, was not being as focused as I needed to and didn't give myself as many opportunities, where this year I felt like I've been on a lot of leaderboards and more so than I have in the past. And I think that's due to just kind of bringing up that level of focus starting on Thursday versus, Saturday or Sunday or whatever it was.
All right, let's take a couple more. Right here.
I think with the rival tour discussion, everyone's opinion is important. And I think when you rise to world number 1, suddenly your opinion becomes extremely important. Have you felt more people on tour, around tour, wanting to know your opinion on a lot of different things now that you are the guy kind of at the top of the table?
Somewhat. So I think from a player's perspective, yes. I'm friends with a lot of guys at different levels of our tour, and so everybody has different concerns, and those concerns need to be addressed. And I think the PGA Tour is doing a really good job of continuing to evolve and address those concerns, because we have guys, you have Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods at the peak, and then you got other guys that are trying to keep their card, and it's a big balance. And fortunately for me, from the outside perspective, we have guys like Rory and Tiger that are very involved with what the PGA Tour does, and they're doing everything in their power to continue to improve our tour. And a lot of those discussions are happening behind closed doors. And I think as being the number 1 player in the world, I'm not anywhere near the top dog out here. There's lots of guys that have been carrying this tour for years now that are committed to the PGA Tour. I could go down the list of names, but JT, Jordan, Rory, Tiger, those guys are with the PGA Tour. And so as far as I'm concerned, wherever those guys are going, that's where I'm going to be. And so the PGA Tour has done a really good job of continuing to evolve and improve our tour. And, like I said, there's discussions going on behind closed doors on how we're going to improve. And, I think the tour and the players are doing a great job of doing that.
All right, let's go to Sean in the back.
You talked about being more focused on Thursday mornings. What does that look like, or can you describe how it's maybe different than it was last year, and maybe how you came to the realization that that was holding you back?
Yeah, I struggled with that a lot in college too. I remember my college coach, Coach Fields, we'd have discussions where it'd be the middle of my round and I'd have a simple shot and I'd hit it, just a terrible shot. And Coach Fields would kind of come up to me and be like, "What were you really thinking there?" And I'd be like, "Well, I was just trying to do something. I wasn't fully invested in what I was doing." And he kind of had a conversation with me. He's like, "Scott, if that was the final round of a tournament stroke play and you're trying to win, or if we're, playing for marbles at home or whatever it is, and it's an important moment, I would never hit a shot like that." And he says, "You're not really struggling that bad with your game. You're really just struggling with how you're approaching shots." And it was something that I've continued to work on with my coach. I work on it with Teddy, and just being totally invested into what I'm doing. Versus, maybe when I first got on to tour, I viewed things as maybe being too easy is a terrible way to put it, because sometimes you get up there and it's like, oh, this is an easy shot. Like, oh, the pin's in the middle of the green. I don't have to focus that much. But then it's like, oh, wait, it's golf and it's still really hard. Like, I have to be extremely in tune into what I'm trying to do with the golf ball on each shot.
All right, Scottie, we appreciate your time. Best of luck this week.
All right, thanks.